There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another awesome episode. We have a really good one for y'all today. If you think the workers' comp game is rigged, guess what? You're right. Tune in to find out more.
The Insurance Bro Show is a podcast for agents who want to grow their agency and be titans of the insurance industry. Learn from a panel of experts who share their agency struggles, their experiences with the nation's best carriers, and share the marketing secrets that successful insurance agents are using today. Now, here's your host, the Insurance Bro, James Cias.
There it is. All right, all of you insurance pros out there, let's dive into another fun episode. But before we do, just a quick reminder to please subscribe on whichever platform it is that you're catching us on today. Give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe, and drop a review and help other like-minded insurance agents find value from our awesome guests while we rise up in the podcast rankings. I will sincerely appreciate every single one of you for it. And if you want to be a guest on the show, I would love to have you on and learn from you as well. Go to www.insurancebroshow.com/guest to schedule your time slot. And don't forget to follow me on all my social media at Insurance Bro Show. Ladies and gentlemen, we're super excited and honored to bring another incredible guest to the Insurance Bro Show. If you are a business owner who thinks the workers' comp system is rigged against you, our guest is here to tell you that guess what? You are right. With over 35 years experience in the insurance industry, most of it specifically niched in workers' comp, our guest knows how the rigged workers' comp system can cripple your cash flow, rob your profits, and destroy your company's culture. It is our guest's mission and passion to relentlessly fight for his clients against that rigged system and help you slash your insurance costs by as much as 60%. If you are a business owner with employees, or an insurance agent looking to learn, you will not want to miss today's episode and this opportunity to peer into the mind of a true workers' compensation expert. Today only, learn how to protect clients from waste, fraud, and paying outrageous premiums in the workers' comp arena. Joining us today out of Los Angeles, welcome to the show, the workers' comp renegade, Maverick Mike McDonough. There it is, Maverick Mike. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much, and what a great welcome. So I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me today, James.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited to have you on the show. So as mentioned in the intro there, you've been in the insurance game for a while. Most of it really niched in workers' comp. Was it right from the get-go? Did you know that you wanted to do workers' comp? Did you have to kind of finagle your way in there? Tell me a little bit about your backstory.
Sure. Some of my backstory is I started in personal lines, and over the years, you start incorporating other things like benefits, and then you start getting into commercial insurance and things like that. I really found that when I was meeting with business owners, that majority of the brokers, we pretty much have similar markets. And so when you go in and try to differentiate yourself, and, everybody's got Travelers, or everybody's with Safeco, or they have, AIG or Hartford and this and that, and you're within $500 of each other, you really have to differentiate yourself with value add services.
Right.
And so I just, instead of going out and, taking home 3 out of 10 accounts because, the rest, you just couldn't compete for whatever reason, you didn't really have any value there. I just realized that, looking at a business owner's balance sheet, that 90% of the time, the workers' comp premium is a much larger number on the balance sheet than their general liability or their commercial auto.
For sure.
So I started realizing through handling workers' comp claims and getting vested into the system with the claims examiners and asking questions, I started to realize that to really make a difference in a business owner's balance sheet, it's to focus on the workers' comp, primarily working with them and processing injuries through the system in a manner that is beneficial to the injured worker and the employer.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that last part? Working
with the injured worker
Uh-huh.
and the employers, and getting the injured worker through the system to where it benefits both the injured worker and the employer.
That is an interesting note right there. You know, as an insurance agent myself, I don't think that I've ever actually talked to the injured worker in a workers' comp claim. What brought you to that realization? What turned on that light bulb and said that's what I need to do is focus on that person and make sure that they get through the process?
That's a great question. If you look at the history of any workers' comp claim that's been open any longer than 6 months, that's usually a real problem. And mostly what causes that is a lot of times it's miscommunication between the employer, the employee, the insurance carrier, the physicians. If the claim is litigated, the attorneys, so you have multiple moving parts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so what happens is that the injured worker gets lost in the system. And when the injured worker gets lost in the system, two things happen. They get frustrated and the claim remains open longer, which incurs more cost to the employer. But the chances of that employee hiring an attorney is probably 95%.
Right. Yeah, I'm mad. I'm not getting the money that I want or that I need or that I deserve. I need to get a lawyer to help me out. And that lawyer is going to go for as much money as he possibly can because, of course, that's how he gets paid. And insurance companies are that much more likely to pay out. That totally makes sense.
Correct.
So keep going. So you how did that, was there like one specific example that you just like had this eureka moment?
Yeah, when I learned that an injured worker can come back to work under light duty or what they call modified duty. And by doing that, if an employer is able to accommodate those temporary restrictions, they can eliminate having potentially an indemnity claim, which is less information that gets reported to the Bureau. You're looking at a medical only claim. If an injured worker gets back to work under light or modified duty, the chances of them hiring an attorney is very slim. Number two, you have them engaged in the workforce, even though you've made adjustments to their job description until they heal. They're going to their doctor's appointments, so forth. So nothing really changes much other than you have an injured worker, you're accommodating some restrictions, but at the same time, you're controlling that claim, you're controlling the cost, and therefore you're eliminating potentially an indemnity claim, and that claim will close out much faster and for a lot less money. And normally it's closed out as a medical only claim versus an indemnity claim, which is all reported to the Bureau and is all factored into the employer's experience modification.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
There's absolutely a chance of saving not just money, but saving relationships. I mean, this is most of the time when you have an employer and an employee, you know, especially when we're talking small business, there is a relationship there, you know, it's very oftentimes pretty direct, you know, there might be a couple of levels, but it's there. And for an employee to have a good experience with their employer, that keeps them around longer, and it's that much less of a training cost to the employer to try and bring somebody else new on. So you're really saving them money on a bunch of different levels.
Well, yeah, those are what we call the hidden costs. So you have to compare the cost of risk versus the cost of premiums. And every employer pays premiums. However, what's never factored in and doesn't show on the balance sheet is the cost difference when you start incurring claims, your experience modification, indemnity claims. And then if you have a long-term employee that's crucial to the business and he or she is out for 6, 7, 8 months because they're not brought back on modified duty, you're going through either a staffing agency or you're hiring outside. So you're going through a whole retraining process. And if you're a manufacturer, it could affect production. It just affects the business in so many different ways that it's not just an injured, worker that's, reporting an injury. It's affecting the whole business from top to bottom, from the CEO all the way down to, the minimum wage employee, because ultimately the company is there to make a profit, but you have injured workers that are out and you're incurring more costs to run your company. So it's really affecting your bottom line all the way around.
Absolutely. And business owners oftentimes don't think about that. All they really see is, I'm paying $5,000 a month or $10,000 a month or whatever it might be. What are some key things, some like real things that the employer can look for in order to save money on that workers' comp policy?
Well, first and foremost, every employer should be proactive. Most of the employers that I am referred to that have problems with claims or paying high premiums, most of them have been reactive, and that's not their fault. It's the way the system is set up. So first and foremost, I would say you have a proactive program. What I mean by that is you designate somebody within your company that employees report all injuries to. That person knows who the insurance carrier is. They know who the insurance broker is. They know who your medical providers are that are within the 5-mile radius of your business operations. And so what I'm really looking at is you want to be able to control that claim, that injury from the time it's reported from the injured worker. Because if you are engaged with that injured employee and you get them treatment right away, that shows them in good faith that, hey, this employer cares about me. A lot of times what happens is they'll come back and they'll talk to the injured worker and, are you sure you're okay? You sure you don't want to get back to work, this and that? Next thing you know, they get back to work, the injury gets worse, or they hire an attorney to tell their attorney, hey, I was denied benefits and things like that. So it's really about communication. But more importantly, James, is that what we found is there's a cultural breakdown, not just in language, it's also in disciplinary actions that employers don't take when employees are breaching company policy and not using protective equipment like lockout tagout programs, wearing the proper shoes around, warehouses, around forklifts, using the proper ladders, following the safety that they're taught. They're going outside the box, and that's where the injuries are occurring, and that's where the serious injuries are occurring. And that also affects not only the injured worker, but the organization, and the employers potentially could be sued for employer liability because they knew or put the employee in harm's way.
Yeah, or they didn't even take action when they caught those things. So there's a couple of things that you've said as we've been talking here. One is, getting into the employer's balance sheet and recognizing that the workers' comp is such a big part of their expenses on a monthly basis. And then the other thing that you just said was talking about disciplinary actions when it comes to those employees not following the correct guidelines. So my question to you is, how do you build that relationship? How do you build that conversation? How do you get that opportunity to for a business owner to actually allow you to look at those books and have a say? As an insurance agent, a lot of times I think I haven't sold a whole, great big ton of commercial insurance. I've got some experience there, but a lot of my customers are like, hey, this is what I need. And, we kind of go through a few questions, we get them approved for the policy, and that's that. What you're talking about is digging much deeper, and actually it sounds like creating a real partnership between the business owner and the insurance agent, like really becoming that trusted advisor. Can you tell me a little bit about that process and how you go about that?
Sure, that's a great question. And when I meet with an employer that I'm either referred to or I get through our marketing process, I don't go with any brochures. I don't go with any ideas of binding any business. First and foremost, I want to find out what kind of organization they run. So I'll ask to see their safety manual, because a lot of times they don't have one. I'll ask to see if their OSHA IIPP program is up to date. A lot of times I hear, what is that? I want to look at the employee handbook, because the employee handbook is really what drives disciplinary actions within a company. And so the handbook goes hand in hand with workers' comp. So if they're over 50 or under 50 employees, that makes a difference in an FMLA program. And if you have an FMLA program and over 50 employees and you have an injured worker out that qualifies for FMLA, you want to make sure that you can have those two running concurrent versus having that same employee out two different times, one for a work comp claim and then one for an FMLA claim. So there's variances there. But when you look at the safety manual and then you look at the handbook, you want to see, do they have a return to work program? Do they have a disciplinary action in their handbook as far as immediate reporting of all injuries? Because, some employees, they didn't tell my boss for 10 days because I didn't think it was a big deal. Well, now I've got an infection. I didn't know I had an underlying disease or in any type of illness like diabetes. And now that cut that I had in the warehouse, it's now infected, and now I have to go in for extra treatments and so forth. So the process is getting to know the organization, looking at what kind of culture they have, what kind of disciplinary actions do they take, because what happens today is a lot of employers, everybody's busy running their companies, and I understand that. And so what happens is that, John's been with the company for 10 years, and we've allowed John to do all kinds of things without wearing the goggles. We know John keeps going in and out of that machine and not doing the lockout tagout, and we've allowed him to do that. So when you start setting that precedent, other employees see the same thing. So now you can see how that snowballs. So now you have an organization where everybody's working unsafely, and all it takes is one time for one serious injury, and then it's a wake-up call for everybody, and then it's just way too late for everybody.
Yeah, because they've already built those bad habits. They're already doing these things. They've been, monkey see, monkey do, right? They just keep doing it over and over and over again. Or they go back to that, well, this is the way we've always done it. When I was in the Navy, that was like the death nail. Like, we never, ever use that phrase. This is the way we've always done it. If we ever heard that, it's like, oh, nope, we got to go back and do more training and fix this.
Right.
So, yeah. This is awesome. I'm already learning so much. It sounds like you really flesh out your potential prospects. I mean, do you turn away business? Are there companies that, maybe they don't have the safety manual or they don't have the employee handbook and they refuse to come up with it? So you're like, yeah, nope, I'm out.
Yeah, it's just, well, hey, Mike, these are all great questions, but, hey, can you just get me a quote? And if they're just looking for price and don't understand the difference between cost of risk and cost of premiums, they're not really a fit for us. And I'll just tell them, hey, look, it's really nice to meet you. I understand that you have your company philosophy, and I'm not going to argue with that. And so I just recommend you continue doing what you're doing. And if you decide you want to change and you're looking for more value and you want to see things change, I'm available anytime to talk to you. So yeah, if they're not into, improving culture and safety and, doing all the right things and being a cooperative component is what I say, then they're not really a fit, because it's nobody wins. I don't win, they don't win, and the injured and the employees don't win. So it's better we just stay away from them. So we work with those that are willing to, they're just tired and stressed out. It's, they want to run their business. They don't want to sit here and worry about medical provider networks and attorneys' letters and work status reports and, reporting injuries and triage and all these other things. They just want to run their business and hope that they have a strategic partner like somebody like myself or other brokers that are investing their time in learning about the organization, creating relationships, and really understand the process of getting an injured employee through the process properly at a minimal cost to the employer and obviously the insurance companies.
Absolutely. That is such a huge difference, because there are a lot of brokers out there that won't turn away the business, that, you just want the quote. All right, well, here's the quote. Here you go. But you are taking a completely different approach to it. How do you reconcile that for a lot of our listeners, for myself, for a lot of the agents that I work with, we don't want to turn away business. We just want to, if somebody asks for something, we want to get them that quote. So what is it that you focus on? How do you get those customers coming through your door that want to make those changes? Like, what are you advertising to specific people? Is it all referral based? Is it 100% referral based? Is there something specific that you're looking for that says, this is the business owner that wants a culture of safety in their place of business, and this is somebody I can work with?
Yeah, and that's a great question. So we do all the above: email marketing, direct marketing, telemarketing, referrals, all the above. But yeah, we have an ideal client, and so we understand what our ideal client is. So if you understand what an experience modification is, can I help an employer with a mod of 60? Absolutely, because they probably haven't experienced a serious enough claim and they've seen no movement in the needle in their experience modification. So somebody like myself coming in, if they want to improve and set up a proactive program and get what I'm about, I can help those employers so that when that major injury does occur, the system's in place. For the most part, insurance, because it's an unnecessary evil and they figure because we have to have it, it's mandated, a lot of employers look, strictly for cost.
Right.
So we go after employers with experienced mods over 90, because even a 90 mod, and they should be around 60, 65, something like that, or even 55, there's still a lot of room in there to help them reduce their costs. So that's still a good client. We really look for other employers, though, above 1.00, because a lot of times, and primarily contractors, because contractors today, if they're bidding on a public entity or county or something like that, or a school district, or even a large private client, they ask and see what their EMR is. And if it's over 1.00, a lot of times they're not even allowed to bid on the job. So,
wow.
Right. So by helping employers control, contractors control their mods and keeping them within a, reasonable level, then they're able to win more jobs. Because if you're a contractor and your mod's 150 going against a contractor with a 70 mod, well, that contractor with a 70 mod is going to be a lot more competitive in his bid than you are, because your bottom line is so much higher that you have to charge more. So you're losing out on these bids, not to mention the bids that you're losing because your mod's too high and they won't even consider you. So those are things. So that's an ideal client. So we're looking for people that primarily have pain, that don't understand, that want the help, but they just don't know that we exist until we come in. And then we go in there and we work on the culture, and we work on the loss control and the safety and the HR. I mean, we don't just look at the workers' comp. So we're never really talking about price. We're talking about changing the mindset of the company in regards to workplace injuries, which not only improves the bottom line, it improves morale, it improves, downtime, it improves so many different things. And if you can get a company up and running like that and they see the difference, you just see the light come back into the employer's eyes, and you see, the color come back into their skin, because most of the time, they're pale white because they're just so frustrated and tired of paying such high premiums. And they just think that's the way the system is. Well, the system isn't that way. It is if you don't do anything about it. It's just like if you have an infection in your leg, you don't do anything about it, it's just going to get worse, right? But if you go to the doctor, get some antibiotics, okay, we can get the infection to go away. Workers' comp's the same way. You just have to take care of it, and you have to massage it, and just, it's not just like a 1-year thing. It's a continual thing. It's systems, processes, like anything else. It's just something that business owners need to do. It's a controllable expense, in my opinion, if you're willing to put forth the work, involve and be invested in your business, and work collaboratively with a professional like myself, or any broker that, understands and, has a passion for workers' comp, that's willing to help them. That's really what an employer should be looking for, is somebody that is not a generalist, but a specialist in workers' comp. Because a lot of brokers have a license. A lot of brokers have a license, and they can place workers' comp policies all day long. But when the claim happens, that's when the rubber meets the road, and that's when the employer needs you the most.
Oh, you're right. And when you're right, you're right. And you're always right.
That is absolutely true, Mike.
That's pretty funny.
Spaceballs, just in case you weren't sure.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
So the riches are in the niches, right? I mean, I love this idea of the ideal client. That's definitely something that my brother and I are working on in a different sense. I mean, insurance related, but not for workers' comp, and definitely, going after that ideal client, knowing who it is that you want to be part of your team, and knowing, like we were talking about, when to just say no. Like, it's okay to not accept the business if it doesn't fit that ideal customer mold.
Just smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
Smile and wave. Let it go. It's fine. Mike, you came from doing personal lines and then switched over to workers' comp and became a specialist. In fact, you are the workers' comp renegade. Can you tell me a little bit about, like, where did you get all of the knowledge? How long did it take you to get from I sell personal lines and kind of everything to I'm the workers' comp renegade? You don't want to hire anybody but me to do your workers' comp.
That another great question, James. Well, obviously, insurance, depending on where you want to spend your time. If you personal lines, I know a lot of agencies that have 6,000-7,000 clients, and it's a lot of auto and home. However, those are very, cumbersome as far as finances to fund those because of all the service needs.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to spend your time, whether it's benefits, whether it's E&O insurance, personal lines, or workers' comp, you have to spend your time doing what you enjoy. And so in working in workers' comp, as I decided to get more into workers' comp and specialize in it, I started going around to all kinds of networking things that had to do with workers' comp. I've met with judges, defense attorneys, claim supervisors, medical providers, every component workers' comp. I've asked them into my life one way or another. Hey, I want to learn. Can you teach me this? And you know what? People are always willing to help you.
So true.
So in order to learn and know what I know today, it's taken years and it's taken a lot of time. And it's just, and as I get more involved in it, every day it changes. It's like technology and iPhones. It's constantly shifting. I mean, look at COVID. Nobody expected this a year ago, right?
Right.
So now that's changed the game a little bit more. So we've had to make some adjustments to that. So, but to answer your question, once I started doing more commercial, doing more of the workers' comp, I just enjoyed it more. But like I say, I just started investing my time, reading, spending time at seminars, getting my, clients more involved, and just really taking the time to learn it, because I didn't want to just, know it, just a little bit. I mean, I wanted to know where I could actually make a difference. And that's what, makes me get up every day, is that I'm able to make a difference in my clients' businesses on a daily basis. And I see the change that comes from them. And that's what I feed off is that momentum of seeing them, that they've seen a light at the end of the tunnel, that, there is relief. And, hey, they invest a little bit of their time, but it goes a long way and it affects their bottom line in a big way.
Skills I've acquired over a very long career.
Exactly. And that is huge. I love the fact that you are motivated and you draw energy from seeing your customers become more successful because of the efforts that you've made and the education that you've provided, and the way that you make sure that they have everything that they need. How did you call it? You said risk versus premium. It was the cost of risk versus the cost of premium. Yeah, like that right there is probably the biggest takeaway for me. Thank you so much, Mike, for your time. One last question for you. I saw you fishing for that hat a little bit. Is there a story with that hat?
Well, I enjoy making pizzas on my free time. A lot of people, they like, going to the museum or playing the guitar or going for a run or something. I used to be a chef, so I enjoy making pizzas. So years ago, I was going to start a company. It's called Attitude Pizza. And I since changed the name to Pie Man's Pizza. It's my younger sister. My older sister called me when I was, 2 years old. She used to call me Pie Man. So it's a hobby of mine. I make them for people here in town. I do a little bit of catering on the side. It's not really for any money and things like that. It's just more joy. I get more joy watching people enjoy my pizzas than I do eating them myself. But so anyway, I switched the name because I was dealing with a franchise marketing person for 20 years from Wendy's. And he basically told me, hey, attitude, that's fun and this and that. But he said the perception of people, attitude, is it a skateboard attitude? Is it a surfer attitude? What kind of attitude is it? And everybody has different perceptions. So he said, you want to get something that's a little bit softer and this and that. So anyways, I just had this hat here, and Mike's Attitude Pizza is what I started with, but now it's Pie Man's Pizza.
Well, that's cool, baby. I mean, you know how it is.
I do like the logo, though. I do like the logo.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, Mike, it really has been a pleasure. Like I said, I've learned so much. I hope that agents can take away from this more than anything else, that cost of risk versus cost of premium, getting that relationship with your customers, and really being the strategic partner, the trusted advisor, all of these things that Mike has shown we as insurance agents can and should be for our customers. Mike, I really want to thank you for your time again today.
James, thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to our long-term relationship. And if I can help at any time, please let me know.
Absolutely. And one last thing, actually, before we go, for the listening audience, make sure that everybody can hear what you're saying. How can people get in touch with you if they want the Renegade, the workers' comp Renegade Maverick Mike, helping them with their workers' comp insurance?
You can text me at my cell phone, area code 805-680-4918, and just make a little note that you heard me on the podcast today, or you can go to mike@workerscomprenegade.com.
Perfect. All right. And don't forget to follow Mike on Instagram at Mike McMac. That's on the screen here. MikeMicMac. Mike McMac. That's all we got, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, if you gain value from the show, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. And if you want to be a guest on the show, would love to have you on, learn from you as well. Go to www.insurancebroshow.com/guest. And as always, don't forget to follow me on all my social media at Insurance Bro Show. Thank you all so much. As always, you rock my socks. You have my heart. And you
Have a nice day!
Thank you for tuning in to the Insurance Bro Show. James is the CEO of the Pipeline team of San Diego and is always in the market for top talent. If you're an agent looking for a place to hang your license, visit www.pipelineinsurance.com/agent opportunities or send an email to newagent@pipelineinsurance.com.